Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, a newly formed YouTube channel. Today I want to go through what it's like to have hernia surgery and then return to running fairly quickly. 1 week ago, 7 days ago, I had laparoscopic hernia surgery here in Indianapolis, right above the pubic region, and I've had it for about 3.5 years now. It was caused from an accident where a car hit me when I was running about 3.5 years ago. It caused me bad back problems and then eventually hernia problems and led into a full-blown hernia. So I've been putting it off for a couple of years now. I was actually scheduled to get it done a year ago, and then I got sick and I called off the surgery. Continued to run and do a few races and things like that, and then finished out my racing season a couple weeks ago in Tallahassee, Florida, club cross country, and then 9 days later had the hernia surgery. So here I am, post-op 7 days, and I've got 12 weeks until the Boston Marathon, which I'm signed up for. My son goes to Berkeley College in Boston, and I told him if he picked that school a year ago that I would go ahead and enter the Boston Marathon. I didn't think I'd be having surgery 12 weeks before that, but I'm still gonna do my best to fight back and hopefully break 3 hours and have a good time there. I've been a lifelong runner since I was about 14 years old. What I'd like to do is, if anybody really cares out there, just give you my take on returning to running fairly quickly after a surgery. Most doctors, they'll tell you to not run for 2 or 3 weeks, and I had 2 other doctors that told me that. I also had a third doctor that said it was up to me, and even if it's 2 or 3 days, that would be fine. If I felt like I could do it and I wasn't in a severe amount of pain. I took the approach of, I'm gonna take at least 3 days off after surgery and see how I feel. Reading stories on Let's Run, reading stories on the internet about hernia surgery. Most of them were very grim, not very positive. Most people saying they had to take a month off, things like that, like they used to do before. Laparoscopic is, they basically have 3 little incisions. Mine was about 4 to 5 inches above my hernia area, and they put in 3 incisions basically around the belly button area, spread out a couple inches apart from each other. And they go in and they have like a robot that helps the doctor guide his way through, put the mesh in. So the hernia area is not affected as far as like cutting that part open or making incisions or anything there. My incisions are very small and they're far away from the hernia area. That area is still a little tight, for sure. I've got stitches that are the metal weight stitches, and they'll fall off here hopefully in a few more days or so, but I've got some tightness, definitely a little bit of pain, and I'm still on pain meds. They put me on 14 days, and I didn't take the heavy medicines they gave me. I just decided to do Tylenol since it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to feel the next day. But I can go into that a little bit later too. But basically, I felt like running about 3 days after the surgery. The week before surgery, like I said, I ran a race in Florida. Didn't go so great, and honestly, the last 3 years since I got hit by that car hasn't been great. I think the hernia is affecting that quite greatly. I ran that team race, and then I had about a week of, just kind of easy running. And then my surgery was last Tuesday, so I wanted to do a pretty big effort, Sunday or Monday. So Sunday I did basically a half marathon on the treadmill in just under 80 minutes, 1:19:30 or something. And I felt pretty good. The next day I just ran a few miles the day before surgery. Surgery I think took about an hour and a half, 2 hours total. Now we're looking at about noon in the recovery room, coming off anesthesia. And they wouldn't let me go until I peed. So I drank 4 glasses, 16-ounce glass of water. I had a few crackers, and 2.5 hours later, I finally peed and At 3 o'clock, we were finally leaving. So I was there for 6.5 hours. Driving home, my mother took me, picked me up, took me. My wife's out of town right now. And we had to pull off really fast, and I vomited. The only other time I had surgery was 30 years ago. I'm in college, and the anesthesia caused sickness then. And like I thought it might, the anesthesia caused sickness again. So on the way home, I vomited. On time, like a lot. And then, about 20 minutes later, had to stop, and I vomited a little bit again. But I got home, they gave me some nausea medicine, I took that, and I was fine. And then I was not sick a second from then until now. So whatever the nausea medicine did helped. The rest of the day, I kind of just laid around. I ate some dinner, had a small little dinner, and then a couple hours later, had a fairly sized dinner and went to bed. The next day I woke up, I wasn't as sore as I thought I'd be. Swelling was definitely, kicking in. So I kind of just laid around, didn't do much. I started icing quite a bit. And that was, day 2, day 3. Once again, just kind of sitting around, icing more. Surprised that I felt like fairly good, like the pain, if you do pain scales out of 10, I was probably 3 or 4 out of 10. Very tight in the incision area, which once again is not near the hernia area, but pleasantly surprised, and knowing that I was gonna probably walk or something the following day on the treadmill. That's 2 days off completely, and then on I guess it would be the third day, I did a 2-mile walk on the treadmill. Not super fast, but 18, 19-minute mile pace on the treadmill. And I felt pretty encouraged, knowing that I could probably run a couple miles the next day. Day 4, I woke up and I went down to the basement. Tons of snow on the ground right now here in Indiana, so there's no running outside. I wouldn't have ran outside the week after surgery anyway. I think treadmill is just much better and stable. So if you're able to do that after your surgery, I suggest getting on the treadmill and just so you don't trip or anything stupid or slip on the ice or whatever. So I walked a mile first, about an 18-minute mile, and then I went into a 2-mile easy jog at not even 8-minute pace, probably 8:15 pace, and felt pretty good. The incision area was tight, but I didn't feel the hernia area whatsoever. Very encouraged with that. Showered, ate breakfast, and basically iced throughout the day, and just kind of worked on some just business work, paperwork, things like that. And then from there on out, I've kind of set the same schedule as I would walk a mile and then I would run. And each day I've been increasing. The next day I did 3, the next day I did 4. And then today is day 7, I did 5. So this morning I walked a mile and then I ran 5 miles. I probably got hernia-wise 1 out of 10 pain today a little bit, not much, still definitely some bruising. Swellings went down over the last few. I had to be at the hospital on Tuesday, a week ago, 8:30 a.m. So I got up pretty early, ran 4 miles and a little bit of walking as well. And then took a shower and headed to the hospital. I wasn't able to eat or drink anything, of course. I wanted to get it over with. I've been kind of dreading this for years, as most people probably do that put these off. I think it's a procedure that a lot of people put off. And I know several people right now with hernias, and they've been living with hernias for years. Pain, and with mine, some weeks were good weeks and some weeks were horrible weeks where it was just shooting pain, and spending a lot of days putting ice packs on it and things like that. So anyway, the surgery, the doctor came in, talked to him a little bit. I briefly talked again about me trying to quickly get back if I could to running. We talked briefly about the Boston Marathon and things like that. And the reason I picked him was he was willing to work with me. He's worked with other athletes and got him back pretty quickly. I think he's somewhat of an athlete himself, a little bit younger guy. And then the other 2 surgeons I talked to about hernia surgery in the years prior, they didn't want to veer from the norm. The earliest I could run was 2 weeks, is what both of them said. So I didn't want that to be an option, and I know what my body can do and what my body can handle. So I think everybody's different, so Definitely don't follow what I'm doing. You've got to play it case by case. I can't feel a hernia at all anymore, which is great, but there's still definitely some swelling there. So I guess goals for the next 7 days, and I'll check in with you guys in about 7 days. What I'd like to do is give you a weekly update leading up to the Boston Marathon and seeing how I feel and how this hernia is doing. And I don't see the doctor again for about 3 more weeks, but he's good with me to continue normal training, normal running, normal activity as long as I feel like I can do it. And like I said, no other doctor would, most doctors wouldn't do that, wouldn't say that. So hopefully this works out. Hopefully I don't have a relapse, and hopefully this kind of gives people some belief that maybe they can come back fairly quick after hernia surgery. So my goals in the next 7 days would be to just slowly start continuing to build up. I haven't lost a whole lot of my fitness. I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna lose a lot of my speed because I'm not gonna do anything faster than 7-minute pace probably for at least another week yet. But over the next 7 days, I'd like to gradually build up to 10-mile runs, and then we'll see where we're at on, day 14. If after that I can start adding a little bit of speed work and then getting longer runs in and start working towards an actual real Boston build-up, that'll put me within 10 weeks of Boston, and who knows what's gonna happen. This is new to me. I've never been in this position before, taking downtime and then surgery and coming off surgery. So I'm just trying to get back to normal life, and we'll see in 7 days.